Hi there, welcome to another Rich Shane's Leicester Square Theatre podcast. This week with Russell Kane. It's a really great podcast. If you've got preconceptions about Russell, I think you might be surprised. Anyway, if you've enjoyed these videos of the podcast, we'd love to keep them going. We'd also love to pay for the ones we've done in this series, Series 9, which I think you'll agree have been pretty good. So we set up another Kickstarter to pay for both this series that we're doing now and the series coming, Series 10, which we'll be recording in October and November on Mondays, if you want to come and see that. But there's loads of brilliant rewards, including a book of emergency questions that you can ask to people to get conversations going and dates and just messing around with your friends. I'm going to do an interview with the ventriloquist dummy that Stuart Lee allegedly and did attempt to manipulate my genitalia with when I was 19 years old. And there's also a chance to be a guest on a special Leicester Square Theatre podcast on there, very set, no audience there. There's all sorts of fantastic rewards in there and some brilliant t-shirts designed by the Guardian cartoonist Leon Edler. So go to, I think you can get it at gofasterstripe.com/Kickstarter. It's probably the easiest way to get there, or check out my webpage and you can find the link. Even if you can just bung us a couple of quid for the 34 episodes we'll be filming this year, that would be terrific. Otherwise we'll stop filming them and we'll just do them as audio. So it's literally as simple as that. Anyway, go and check out the rewards, see how much you want to give, and hopefully we'll be able to record Series 10 as well as this amazing Series 9. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Leicester Square Theatre. Please welcome a man who tomorrow will spend his day in bed with his wife's best friend who will be filleting him. And that is true. It's Richard Herring! Oh yeah, living the dream. Living the dream. So, welcome to the show. It's called Richard Herring's Leicester Square Theatre podcast, but I was hanging out with the guys from East 17, you know, the two guys at the back this week, and they call it Rahulastapa. That's why they go. And then after they call it, they go like that. That's what they do. I don't think that's pretty cool. So I don't know if that will catch on. So yeah, we started filming as it occurs to me, which you people have kindly, you at home as well, have kindly funded. At least partially. We haven't got enough money to do what we want to do. But tomorrow I'm filming a scene in which I will be in bed with Lou Sanders and she will be sucking my cock. I believe it's mainly acted, but she seems like the kind of person who'd go method, I think. And she's my wife's best friend, so that's a weird thing. It's weird the way things get thrown up in life, isn't it? So I don't think I am looking forward to it. And I wrote it. I wrote a sketch last week where I show my bum. Again, I've done that about 5 times. I never enjoy it when I come to do it, so I don't know why I keep writing it. It's like I'm some kind of pervert. And I always worry, because these go out quite a long way down the line. I'm sort of worried that there's a topical element to this, because we're all still worried about the political situation in the whole world. But I've sort of decided not to bother about it, because these will come out in September, October, by which time surely everyone in the world will be dead by then. So I'm just going to play, it'll be in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and I'm just going to play to the people in the room, so it doesn't. We might talk about Brexit and the fact Donald Trump is definitely going to become president of the United States. We don't know, but I was talking to the comedian Dave Gorman. I think it was a bloke called Dave Gorman, and there's a few of them, so I think it was him. And we're sort of like, I'm kind of at a loss, because there's nothing you can do to stop it seemingly everything's just going wrong. I think really the Labour Party, it's just and the world, and because it's creating this sort of political vacuum, I was comparing it to 1930s Germany, and I'm saying I don't think it's like 1930s Germany because I don't think there's a Hitler figure. I don't think Nigel Farage is the Hitler figure, but I don't think he's got the, I don't think he's too much of an idiot, and not that I'm saying Hitler was he's misunderstood when he did some good stuff, but he was more charismatic, I would say, but. Then Dave Gorman made the point, I wonder if there's lots of people in Nazi Germany, or pre-Nazi Germany, who were just like quite nice people in the middle going, oh, it's awful, isn't it? What can we do? Which is sort of where you never think about them, do you? Those people who must be going, wow, I don't really like what's going on, but fuck, it's just awful. So anyway, we're going to hopefully, Russell, I told him he had 5 or 6 minutes to do a wee, so hopefully he is ready. He's probably best, I'm going to introduce this week's guest. He is probably best known as for his appearance on All Star Family Fortunes. That's why we're all here. Will you please welcome Russell Kane, ladies and gentlemen? Yes. Thank you. Welcome. How you doing? Sit down. Pull up a microphone. Here's Russell Kane from All Star Family Fortunes. That's where you've seen him.
Hello.
Hello. How was All Stars Family Fortune? I know you must get asked it all the time.
It was good, actually.
Vernon Kay was the host.
Yeah, I was on there with my mum and my great uncle Ivor. I'm really excited to be here, by the way. Can I just say? I'm looking forward to tomorrow more. As your wife's best friend, I've really, I've really had that in my diary for some time.
You're welcome to do that, but that's part of the payment. Is you get to.
That is the payment for today.
It is. You've done quite a lot of TV. I'm obsessed with TV quiz shows. And I haven't done Family Fortunes, but you've done quite a few of them, haven't you?
Family Fortune's weird because you're sort of unveiling your weird family life on TV. I mean, I describe everything about my family when I'm on stage anyway. There really are no more secrets. But
what family were you against on Family Fortunes? Let's say All-Star Family Fortunes.
Yeah,
So let's
someone from EastEnders. I've honestly forgotten who. But I was on there with my mum and my great uncle. Yeah. So my nan's older brother. My dream team, he was on there.
Is he good at guessing what 100 people might have said about something?
He was just the Boer War, I was there. And then I had like an uncle and a cousin. I sort of picked quite strategically so different people knew different things.
Ah, clever. And did you win?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think you're...
I know, and then we went through to the final game. You know, the horrible high pressure one where you're in a sound booth and have to come out afterwards. And my mum went first, she did really well. Then I had to think of a country beginning with C, and I said Cyprus, and the audience laughed like it was this wildly weird suggestion. Like, Cyprus is definitely a country, isn't it? Oh my God, I can't believe you said Cyprus, what's that? Like, you know, the people that watch, Family Fortunes obviously didn't think Cyprus was a country, even though they live in Falaraki. And then a piece of mountaineering equipment, I said crampon, and they had to stop recording. Completely valid, just because it rhymed with tampon, the whole recording stopped. I was disgusted.
Cyprus didn't get any votes though, did it?
Cyprus got 0 and so did crampon.
Exactly. That's why they were laughing at you, because you
weren't
playing pointless.
If you go mountaineering without a crampon, I'll be the one that's laughing at your crumpled body at the bottom of a mountain.
And you've won Celebrity Mastermind?
I've been on it twice. I did Evelyn Waugh the first time.
Yeah.
Kind of an unlikely book nerd. And so I did Evelyn Waugh the first time, smashed it because he's quite. Any Evelyn Waugh fans in the house? He's quite plotty. Yeah. So the novels are quite slim, and it's someone walks into a field and then their trousers fall down, then they get drafted into a war accidentally. It's a big plot element, so it's easy to be tested on. And then the second time I did Ernest Hemingway, which is awful. It's like a man feels something. The end. But for 300 pages. So, of course, I got completely slaughtered. I did better on my general knowledge than I did on my Ernest Hemingway round the second time.
Yeah, Ernest Hemingway was very hard.
Because there is no, man catches fish, goes home, or doesn't catch fish. It comes back with a detached fish's head. Sorry, I've just ruined Old Man in the Sea for a lot, but I was going to read that last week.
If you hadn't said which one it was, it could have been any.
Could have been a farewell to arms. Take that fish.
And you've been on Pointless. How did you do on Pointless?
I won on Pointless. I was on there with Catherine. It was only because Catherine Ryan was that we got.
Catherine. When they put Catherine Ryan on with me, that would be fine.
I was Lindsay. We got Lindsay Lohan movies, which I know nothing about,
right.
And she was like professor of Lindsay Lohan. She just smashed it. It was so impressive.
Good.
I did the Chase. That was
I saw you on the Chase.
I beat the one that looks like Miss Trunchbull. 67 grand, wallop. So yeah.
And have you been on Tipping Point, Celebrity Tipping Point?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I mean, only my thing is I go on if it's I believe just do one thing for one charity and do loads, because then you're doing like a PR job for the charity as well by mentioning it on TV all the time. Sure. So I do a lot of stuff for Rethink. So whenever I can get on TV and just go Rethink, I do it. So that's why I do all those things. I've never just genuinely gone on a quiz show and tried to play for a car or anything, but I would.
I definitely would. I do it for charity as well, but I don't care about the charity. I just want a Mastermind trophy and a Pointless trophy. I'm not doing Mastermind again.
Why? How did you do on
I
Mastermind?
got 35 points.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, I came second.
To
Some idiot.
was it other comedians?
I had the highest ever. I'm not. People who've heard this before can tune out. No, I'm not obsessed with it. No, it was other celebrities. It was the football guy who wasn't very clever. A woman from Emmerdale who wasn't very clever, and a woman from Antiques Roadshow who was quite clever, but did antiques as a specialist subject. That's not hard.
But you got the highest ever.
I got the highest ever Celebrity Mastermind score up to that moment, and held that for 2 minutes.
You're literally the best ever loser.
I am.
Do you know why I won? I did a special that was just other comedians.
Okay.
And if anyone ever gets to do a charity mastermind thing, pick a subject that sounds quite impressive and hard, like Evelyn Waugh, because it's literature and books and stuff, and they go a little bit easier on you.
Right.
Whereas all the comedians tried to show off and do funny stuff, like I'm going to do Transformers or Jackie Chan movies. I'm just going to do irony in general. And but because they picked you think if I'm going to do the Transformers cartoon, they absolutely slaughtered them. Like the Mexahedron transformed to what in the 4th minute of the 6th film, and it was just really impossible. Where I was like, Evelyn, what's the surname? Waugh. The winner, ladies and gentlemen, the winner.
What was Evelyn Waugh's wife called?
Evelyn.
It's easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's easy.
But even funnier, she left Evelyn Waugh for a man called John. Evelyn was his middle name, also known as Evelyn sometimes. So Evelyn left Evelyn for Evelyn.
Some people have got a type. That's all.
I know.
It's just easy. And it's just themselves.
Type people that start with A.
People have the same name as yourself.
That's the most narcissistic type ever.
So let's see what I'm going to ask you. Russell Kane, how old are you?
Well, I've currently got a tour if you want to come and see it. Right man, wrong age,
Yeah.
because I hit the landmark birthday.
Okay.
You did a show called Oh Fuck I'm 40.
I did,
I remember seeing it, thinking I'll never be 40, man. It seems so far away. And then I sort of got to that age. I'm like, shit, man. So as a stand-up, you need to find stuff to write about. But I can only ever write about stuff. Like if a negative thing's happened to me, I like to push against it.
Yeah.
And it was all going rather well. And then someone did a story about me pretending to be younger than I was. I thought, well, rather than cry about it, I thought, what a great thing to do a stand-up show about not wanting to get old, about pretending to be younger than you are, about refusing to age, about having to age. And if you wrote it itself. Because before that, I used to take a bad... if I had nothing happening to me that was bad, I would take a bad review and pick the worst criticism from that review and turn that into the theme. Right. It was the same person from this website called Chortle.
Yes.
I think it's one of your best friends or something. You might even be your wife's best friend. And every year I would get good reviews, and he would say something horrific like, what a load of rubbish, is like tired cliches and easy stereotypes. And I thought, well, what a brilliant theme for a show, the nature of stereotype and cliche. Then I would come back and do a show about that, get nominated for the award again, even though I just randomly picked his Venom and done a show about it. So every year I was thinking, God, if he likes it, I'm fucked. What am I going to talk about next year? I did it 3 times, gaping floors and human dressage. All of them were, I did floors, and then I did human posturing. But without that, I never would have had those shows.
Does he know? Does he realise?
Yeah, he did, because he refused to come and see the one after, and then he sent someone else instead, and I got a 5-star review for that website. They don't work for him anymore.
You wrote a book about a critic though, was that based on him as well?
No, the character was based on some of the stand-ups you meet backstage. Like you and I think. Well, we've just been chatting backstage. There's not much gap between our personalities backstage and how we are now. We're a bit more animated and a bit ruder and looking for the laugh, but it's roughly the same people. Whereas you wouldn't believe how different. Some people are right miserable bastards. And they go, welcome to the stage, Comedian X. They're like, hello everyone, how you doing? And they're completely depressive and miserable and can't find humour funny anymore because they've heard too much of it. So that I originally started with the stand-up as the character, but then I thought it would be even more outside the realm of joke telling and performance if he were a critic that had a savant perception of humour. I'd like in A Beautiful Mind, where the guy sees maths spelt out in gas in the sky. Imagine if you were like that with puns, with wordplay. You saw every bit of wit spelled out. So an autistic savant skill, but with an inability to emotionally experience humour at all. So that's how I started with that character.
I'll mention that we were talking about Stuart Lee. I don't like talking about him anymore, but he's...
I really like Stuart Lee. Is it not fashionable anymore? I've only just really got into it.
Yeah.
I thought it's one of my favourite TV programmes. So I'd get in from my gig, having been serving McDonald's all night, and just enjoy a bit of steak when I got in. No, I like a wide a wide spectrum of humour. I find it harder to enjoy stuff that's similar to what I do, obviously, because I can see it working, but I'll find like slapstick or one-liners hilarious, or stuff that's really, really droll and dry and intellectually dark, because it's so far from what I do, I can forget that I do this for a living and lose myself in it. I think that's probably why I like it.
Yeah. But there's a poster backstage, which is your poster from when you were here, and it says, "Sorry, I wasn't Stuart Lee."
No, it says, "I wish I was good like Stuart Hall," and then Hall's crossed out, and I put Lee instead. Okay. Because what happened was, Stuart Lee did a routine about me, which was very funny, and I'm assuming he's written it wanting people to take it in good faith. I found it quite funny. I don't think my mum did, because the punchline was, "Your dad's dead, get on with it." But I found it quite funny. I found it funny. And then he wrote something in a newspaper about me as well, in a column, or he said it in an interview, where they said, "Why are you having to go at all the Russells?" Because he had this thing about where he had to go at all the Russells, or they being made in a factory up north, which is I was doing a similar bit myself, weirdly enough. And he was like, "To be honest with you, I've never seen Russell Kane show." I used to have this blonde streak in my hair. He went, "I've never seen Russell Kane show, but because he's got a streak in his hair, I know he's shit." So I thought that's really funny as a premise. So I went on to try and do a joke about him. But every time I started a routine with Stuart Lee, the audience muddled it with Stuart Hall in their head, because he was in the news at the moment. Yeah. And you think
I don't think it's just because of that.
No. We're all comedy nerds, so you're probably all like real hardcore comedy geeks in the room, but you forget most people have only heard of a handful of really, really mainstream comic. But I wanted to do a routine about how funny it was that someone as like the king of liberal land, Stuart Lee, would judge someone by their visual appearance rather than the content of their character. Yeah. So I had a routine saying, maybe if I wore a star instead, Stuart, I could live in a ghetto if that would help. And well, of course it didn't work, because they thought I meant the pedo. So there we are.
But it's strange because it's nice that you found it funny, because I think a lot of people who Stuart's done stuff about have been a bit hurt by it, because I've seen interviews before it happened where you're saying how he's the king of stand-up and he's the best.
It's like I found it the equivalent of, in Kill Bill where she's getting trained and the master strikes her in the face. It's like an honour, isn't it? The one with the silver beard goes. You're like, "Thank you, master. I will learn." I looked at it like that. Yeah. If Stuart Lee's doing a joke about you, you're obviously doing something right or wrong, however you might want to look at it. At least you're doing something that's getting your voice out there. Yeah. But if you can't take a joke, if you've got to have thick fucking skin to do stand-up, I don't understand someone that could hear a stand-up do a joke about it and go, "My feelings are hurt," and then do a job where someone, which actually happened one night, could lob a dildo at the stage from a hen party. If you can take that, you can fucking take a witticism about you, but from Stuart Lee.
But do you think people underestimate you? Do you think that's interesting that he's judged you by that, admittedly ridiculous streak in your hair?
He says he goes, it's the character of Stuart Lee. I have to remember that one. Oh, it's the character of me getting my knob out in Tesco's. Horrible. Wasn't me.
And the character shares all of Stu's views and opinions. That is, having spoken to him off stage, if anything, the character's a bit more of a palatable version. But
please note, Stuart, I've not said anything horrible.
But it's interesting. I think there's an element. Do you think there's a classist element to that, because you're you're from Enfield, but sort of seen as this South End.
But he's working class maker, isn't he? I thought he's like sort of working class parvenu who went to Oxford and all that.
He went to public school in Oxford, yeah.
But did he?
But he got on a scholarship, but
Yeah. I suppose.
Not like me, I went to a proper comprehensive in Somerset that was nice.
Yeah. I don't know. He doesn't strike me as a class snob, but there is. I think.
No, not necessarily him. But do you think there's an element of that? Because you're a very erudite and intellectual person, and you're very well. You listen to audiobooks. I remember you telling me.
That's all I listen to. I'm listening to Steven Pinker at the moment. Has anyone read it? Better Angels of Our Nature is so good. And I think this particular accent. If I had like a Yorkshire accent or a Scottish accent. But I'd educated myself. People just think, "Oh, you're from Yorkshire, but you've got an education." But there's something in, and this isn't just me coming up with stuff off the top of my head. This is proved in surveys and stuff. It's one of the least trustworthy accents you can have, an Essex accent. It's one of the least intelligent sounding accents, empirically so. So when people are asked what they think the intelligence level of someone like me is, it's something to do with the squad. the weird contradiction in the openness of the vowel. Like if I was Mickey Flanagan, the end of the word would be open. But with an Essex accent, where you're trying to sound a bit better than you are, I used to do stand-up about this, an Essex person actually, the more Essex they are, the more they pinch the end of the word. Right. But if you notice, the middle of the word's still thick as shit. So it's almost like, you know when someone's saying, I'm definitely not going to touch you, you think they're going to touch me. So if your voice is saying, I'm not thick, I promise, you think the person's thick. So immediately, which is why I try not to slip into that, there's a whole bag of words that I resist from using, which I know is the correct word, so that I don't fall into Russell Brand disease of using like a polysyllabic word, because people think if you've got a working class accent, then you're not really using that polysyllabic word, you're just using it to show off. Whereas if I went on and went, of course, as an anti-classist element and started talking about empiricism and classes, you wouldn't judge the use of the polysyllabic word. Yeah. That is real. I'm sure other people in the room have experienced that. You're more shy about showing your learning because it doesn't match your accent. That is the biggest prejudice of this country, that American and Australian people cannot get their head around. It's before you got to the end of the sentence, that person listening to you knows roughly where you're from, your economic, how you started in life, has made a guess about your intelligence level. But I do think with the Essex accent there is a mismatch. I'm not all thick.
But it's interesting. Like your stuff, your stand-up is similar to Stuart's in a lot of ways in the subjects it's covering. And
I suppose so, yeah.
And so, but you wouldn't. I don't think someone like Steve Bennett, who you were mentioning from Chorlton, I'm guessing, wouldn't put you in the same. Wouldn't put you in the same.
It just doesn't. Box. I don't know why Steve Bennett doesn't like my stuff. I mean, it's only nerdy comedians that go on the website, thankfully. But. Not everyone's going to like what you do, are they? I mean, humour is subjective. The stuff that makes me laugh is, like I say, either so intellectually obscure or so... I was at the Comedy Store a little while ago. I can't remember which comic it is. You probably know which one it is. And the guy does a routine about different types of fart, which he does with his voice. He goes, and here's the Queen on the toilet, and he has an echo that comes on, and here's after a curry, and all the comedians backstage were going, oh my God, the audience loved it. I was crying. Why did you hear the Queen on the toilet? That's exactly what a fart would sound like. I can't help it. That's genuinely what makes me laugh. Yeah. I've got a very puerile and like childish sense of humour, but I also love finesse things. I'm just a weird Venn diagram you can't solve.
But that's like you were telling me how you're doing these caning YouTube videos or Facebook videos, and you're improvising those, and they seem so well thought out and structured.
Thank you. Not.
So it's amazing to they're very about the sort of topical subject. Take a topical subject.
So what happened was I did this project recently called Stupid Man's Smartphone. It's BBC 2, BBC 3 thing. Or BBC 3 now is like shown on BBC 2. And the idea was, did anyone see it? To test the hypothesis. I can Google it. How many times have you said that this week? I don't need anyone to show me. I'll just Google it. And we're using it for more and more stuff that human beings used to teach us. So we thought, how far can you take that? Can you go to a desert and survive with just a smartphone and Google? So we're testing all this. And I'm working with all these YouTubers and stuff. And they're all about 12. It's really embarrassing. And they're like, Russell, why did none of your other comedians just put a tripod on a table, do stand-up, full quality stand-up like they would do on stage, down the barrel and post it online? And I didn't know why. I thought, well, maybe people don't want to give their jokes away, or maybe people are scared of being judged. So I thought, these fucking kids are driving in Lamborghinis around, they got filling the O2. I thought, fuck it, I'm going to give it a go. I literally got home, picked a story I didn't even care about. I had to look up who some politician was, but then once I got into it, I could make jokes about anything. Put the tripod on, did a bullet point, like, Michael Gove's funny because of the specs or something, and just start speaking for 6 minutes. And then I spend 40 minutes cutting it to 1.5, 2 minutes, and then I post it. And the first one did 80,000. Now, if you think, like, if you do a programme on one of the cable channels, like a comedy programme, 100,000 people might watch. So to have 80,000 people watching your stand-up as you're speaking to them, I'm like, bloody hell. And then tickets started to sell. Then I did one about the sugar tax, and that did 800,000. Then I did one about junior doctors. That's done 2 million. Right. And I thought, fucking hell, there's something in this internet lark. No wonder you're at it.
I've been overproducing it. I should have just done this at home on my iPhone.
But you never have the confidence to improvise like that if an audience were there. And if it goes wrong, who's going to see it? You just stick the file in the trash. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I think Victoria Beckham kissed her child on the lips the other day, and some people were having a go about it. So I thought, well, that's a good one. What kind of a person is offended by that? Only someone that sees something sexual in that act, right? Which is dodgy as fuck. So I thought, right, that's what I'll do. I just started speaking. I do silly voices. Like people said, why are you doing these annoying jump cuts, Bruce? Stop trying to her. It's not that. It's because I've just filmed for 6 minutes. How else am I going to edit it? I'm standing in a different position. It's literally an hour and a half's worth of work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's. I think it's very. It's, you know, and you're taking. I mean, you're doing you did the Shakespeare show. This Shakespeare stuff.
Yeah, that was something else weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
which again, I don't think people would have pegged that onto you, immediately as where you would go. So you're taking.
I love books.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get the violin out or anything, but I don't exactly come from. I didn't go to public school or anything like that.
No.
My dad was a manual labourer and my mum's a cleaner. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're born sort of nerdy, effeminate and into books, it's hard to... You've got no one to guide you. Like they're not sort of emotionally abusing you. You've just got no one to guide you. So that was my way of, tunnelling into middle class land with I could hear Radio 4 through a wall. What's that? I'm like, ignore it. It's nothing. There is nothing the other side of the wall. Dad will be back with the kebabs soon. And, but I don't know. I was just naturally drawn to stuff like that. So, I was doing a routine once on. So what I discovered, I don't know if anyone else has comes from ultra council estate background and has got a degree, right? You always carry that chip on your shoulder, and you always think you're going to be exposed as a fraud because you're not really, really posh and intelligent because you started life ignorant. Like, it's always at the back of your mind. And when I'm under pressure, or I think a room of people don't like me. I don't mean in a stand-up context, I mean in a social context. I start to swear, I drop nouns out, I don't speak as carefully as I should. And basically I got booked to do this literary festival for these private school kids in Skye, and they'd had all like, let's go to the Strindberg Forum. And then at the end of the week, it was a bit of light-hearted entertainment, a bit of working class entertainment. I'll have a bottle of beer, heckling Muriel, it'll be fun. It was like that it was that atmosphere. And I went on, I've been told not to swear, and because everyone was I could tell they didn't like me. I'm not someone who swears just to be offensive because I've been told not to. I just went on straight away and dropped an F-bomb. I was like, oh God, oh shit, oh sorry, oh shit. And one of those. Dying horribly in front of 14-year-old public school children. The teachers sort of sat like that, indoor cravats, still blowing. And when I was put this words on stage, it was so slow, I kept expecting Stephen Hawking to emerge to explain what was happening with time. You're having a shit gig. And this kid stood up. You know how tall posh people are, aren't they? They've had nutrition for generations, so they're really tall. My ancestors are like, we don't need calcium, it's fucking con. And this posh kid, it's been so long since I've described the story, I can't remember what he said, so I am fabricating a little bit. It was something like stand-up comedian. Like, he didn't even heckle, he just went stand-up comedian. He described what I did for a living in a spiteful voice. Right. And everyone else laughed and clapped. And I basically pointed at him and made a joke about his grandmother. What I actually said was, I've had your nan, was how I phrased it. And I was taken off stage. I was actually escorted off. And as I left, that's when the guy said to me, why don't you try looking up a real writer, go back to Shakespeare? And I was at the side of this, literally I didn't even leave the gig, I was thinking, how can someone live in a world where they honestly think that if you and I were to have an argument in Nando's, we would resort to Shakespearean insults as a way of resolving it. And that's what started, if I went, thou art a crow, Richard, be silent. And that's what started this journey of, rather than doing, say, what Upstart Crow has done and what every other bloody production in Edinburgh does, which is take the stories we already recognise, Romeo and Juliet, and put them in speech we use now, I wanted to go the other way around. So Darren's cheating on Kelly behind the bins at Yates's. Donna doesn't know. What would that sound like in blank verse? No reference. They don't look for Hamlet. You will not find a reference to Hamlet in there. All you will find is the rhythmic patterns of Shakespeare. Yeah. So that's what. And I just started doing it. I've got like a simile thing where I can do just think of similes. And so I just started writing it, and that's when I came up with that play, and I took it on the road. Derek Jacobi came to see it.
Yeah. Did you do it in Stratford-upon-Avon?
Yeah, we did. In the end, the guy, I've forgotten the name of the last artistic director. I can't remember what his name is.
Some cunt, innit?
Yeah, some cunt. And Michael Some Cunt emailed me. When I saw M Some Cunt, I was like, oh my God. And it's spelled with a K. And he said, look, I saw a video of you doing this. It's really funny. How do you feel about performing on our open day? We'll sell tickets. We'll run it like a proper production. We've got nothing in the main room in the evening. I was a barely known stand-up at the time. It still did 1,000 tickets. Wow. And I can't tell you how the nerdy geekgasms I was having. So I'd deliver a similar... At the time, Girls Aloud was still there. So I would do like, I desire thee as all of Girls Aloud combined. The ginger one, remove Ed. And then you would pause, and there'd be an applaud at the end of each. Wonderful use of trope. Continue to the next. It was honestly one of the best days of my life.
Well, Shakespearean audiences laugh at anything that resembles a joke. So imagine giving them actual jokes.
Yeah.
They must have exploded. What fuck?
Yeah.
They're actually funny things.
Yeah.
That aren't just.
Some of them had strokes. It was so powerful. That was a weird thing to tour. Yeah. A lot of people came to see it thinking it was going to be stand-up, so halfway through the tour I had to go on first, like a bit like you've done tonight, and say, like, hi guys, there's going to be a play tonight, so if anyone wants to get a refund, they can, and then we did the play. So it's weird.
So I'd like to sort out some internet disputes. I don't know if this is, this might be a real thing. So I looked through the IMDb page, that's how I found out about Wolf-Star Family Fortunes. But according to IMDb, and this might be true, you're listed the first person I've ever seen under Transportation Department.
No,
it's you.
Where the Wild Things.
Where the Wild Things are. You were the driver. Creatures uncredited. Is that you?
That's not true. I don't know why that's on there. There's obviously a driver or someone called with the same name as me, which isn't my real name. I wish I'd picked another name. When I first started stand-up, I'd never seen live stand-up in my life. Not in a disrespectful way. It wasn't something I was interested in. I'm into plays and books and all of that. But someone at work told me to do it as a dare, and my surname was so bloody unpronounceable. I just read out a load of names at work, and I was like, which one runs quite well with Russell? And I picked. If I'd have known there was a Russell Howard and a Russell Brand, I would have picked another first name as well. It's not even my real name.
And did your dad appear as an extra in Doctor Who?
That's true.
Is that true?
That is true. Yeah. And there's Toby. Do you know Toby Haddock?
Yeah.
Am I saying it right?
I think so, yeah.
He's this absolute Doctor Who nerd on a level you can't imagine, like encyclopedic.
They all are as well.
Yeah. Some of you I realise now are aroused at the end of that sentence. Oh, tell me more. And he couldn't believe that my dad... He was like, what episode was your dad was in? I said the name of the episode. He went, your dad's not David Grenner, is he? He knew the name. And my dad is an unspeaking part. My dad was a bodybuilder, a professional bodybuilder. He walked on topless and then got shrunk by a Dalek in a cubicle and then walk off. That's my dad's showbiz career. It's a metaphor for how he felt on the inside. I'm just going on his behaviour. But yeah, that's true. My dad was a model, a bodybuilder, and weirdly he tried stand-up as well. He did a season as a... Is it a red coat? Is that right?
Well, I think it's yellow coats or red. Well, the red coats are the red coats are...
No, the communists. No, yeah.
He did comedy on horseback while people chased
that's right. Yeah. So it was an English Revolution. No. He tried it, and he was just starting as a sheet metal worker and lagger and manual labourer, and he was just trying it on the circuit. Yeah. When him and Mike Reid, a comedian who used to be in EastEnders, were gigging together. And my dad was like, this is shit, it's going nowhere, and he left, and then Mike Reid became famous. So that was another thing he was always bitter about, the swearing at the time. Yeah.
So your dad was very emotional, didn't express his emotions to you, is what I'm getting from your comedy.
He was. So, you know, one of these, and there are lots of men like it, but there's some girls like it as well, you know, just like everything's a disaster, the slightest thing goes wrong, the whole day is ruined. A depressive character. Mm-hmm. So a traffic jam on the way to a short weekend, the whole weekend's fucked, that's it. Even the next day, when we're there, the memory of the journey would continue to cancer the rest of the weekend. Like that. Glass of water at dinner, whole meal ruined. Everything was a drama, a disaster, everything to get hit up about. So yeah, that's how I would describe him. That's quite intense to be. Yeah. And although he was aggressive, like with objects, not with me, and that was one of his boasts. I've never hit you, boy. I've never fucking hit. Like he was Father of the Year. I have never punched my offspring. Where's Ban Ki-moon with my Peace Prize? Mental, yeah. It's sad, really, isn't it? Like, he was just one of those blokes that could not control that toddler. Where's my keys? Where's my fucking keys? Then the gasket would blow.
Yeah.
It's just one of those blokes. There's lots of us out there. I don't think that's a class thing either.
No.
There's plenty of, I'm going to lose my rag in a minute, Jemima. There's plenty of
Oh no, well we had Marcus Brigstock on a few weeks ago, and he's the whole boarding school thing of just sending your kids away. I mean, it's horrific, really, when you think about it. I think because you're not in that world, you don't think how awful that must be to be 7 years old.
That's too young,
and sent away to school without your parents. So you just feel like that, that break away.
By 12 though, I was bang up for it. I think a lot of 12-year-olds would be up for it, but 7.
I guess, but I think it would still affect you. So I think that it's interesting. I mean, and now because you're a parent as well, but I mean, I can't imagine. Not feeling that bond and not wanting,
I was saying that to my Lithuanian nanny just before I came out. I haven't got Lithuanian. She's Polish. We're lucky we both work from Lindsay. Lindsay works, she runs an eyelash brand. So we both at home, so we go to juggle, luckily. Yeah. So far.
I'll do this bit, which is the Dirty Britcom Confessions. You'd imagine there's a lot of them. Have you seen this website?
No.
It's where people put their sexual fantasies about comedians.
All right.
Usually British comedians, but there are some international.
How have I missed this?
I'm very surprised you haven't missed it. And there's quite a lot of yours, and they're mainly just boringly, I want to have sex with you, but there's a couple I'd like to run by you. I'm a gay man, and while I don't...
Start reading out, Richard, start reading out.
Well, so this is true of me as well, this. I'm a gay man, and while I don't normally find Russell Kane particularly attractive...
Lovely, passive-aggressive. Pizza?
I had a minor identity crisis when I saw him doing Crazy in Love.
Yeah.
Which you did Let's Dance with Comic Relief.
That, again, was one of the most amazing things I've ever...
I was the same, though. I saw you on this, and I didn't quite know what to... Now I've remembered it, I can't quite look you in the eye.
not the cross-dressing element of it, but I never tried to learn a dance in my life. Obviously, I'm the first one up at the wedding. I love dancing. I like to think I've got natural rhythm, but I've never tried to learn a dance. I thought I'm going to be awful at it, but I absolutely loved it. I've sort of found something else I would, I would be up for.
Yeah.
If I hadn't done.
But you were very impressive looking. I mean, I'm surprised it's sort of a gay man who fancied you when you're dressed as a woman.
It's normally some straight bloke.
Yeah.
Guy, you just put that on for me.
What I would say is I'm not a gay man, but I remember I tweeted about it, I think, at the time, saying, I've got a you're a very beautiful woman, is what I'm saying.
Thank you very much. What a compliment.
Okay, this is another one. I want to have a four-way with Joe Swash, Greg James, and Russell Kane. Failing that, I can live with just Russell Kane.
That's nice, isn't it?
Is that, or wouldn't you be thinking all the time you're having a two-way with this person? They'd prefer if there was Joe Swash was here.
Do you know who wrote We Know Anything About?
I don't. It's anonymous. It's a completely anonymous thing.
That's killed my boner. I could just see a floating ghost with the horn.
But you had plenty of time to do it. When you talk about that, I've seen you talk about it in interviews, but there was a time when you were single before.
But I've never been single. I'd never had a one-night stand. I'd never been on a lad's holiday. I went all the way through uni with my girlfriend's picture on. Oh, I love you. I was one of these pathetic, worse than someone that sleeps around. I was serial monogamist. Yeah. Split up with someone on the Saturday. I'm going to fuck everything that moves. By next Saturday, I think I love her. I call myself a love grenade. I'm all right so long as the pin is in, but then I love you. And so my mum, obviously I was getting older and older and kept this same pattern, repeats definitely the word, and then it would go wrong. And my mum's had a photo frame that was just getting thicker and thicker at the back. Definitely the one. And so weirdly, it was my mum that said to me when I split up with this particular girl, she was like, no more. You have to have it, because I've had a girlfriend since I was 16. The longest gap I'd ever had was 10 days. Seriously. And it's always like really intense and really in love. The shortest relationship had been 9 months. And she's like, you have to have a year on your own. She wasn't telling me to sleep around, that would be weird. Go on, son, that's it, go on. Like the clappers, your arse was a blur, I was so proud. No, she meant stop needing to need some. Oh my God, I feel it's therapy. But, so I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, I'm not telling anyone to have a one-night stand, I won't be that crass, but for me, it was important to know what it felt like to go out, have a bit of nookie and then not have to immediately go, do you want to move in the next day? So I did have a wild I lasted 8 months. I didn't even make the year because I met Lindsay and now we're married with a baby.
And you met Lindsay at a gig. She was in the audience of a gig.
She was in the front row of a gig. That's where that bloke is there. And it was
Imagine if it had been you.
Yeah.
Would you have liked that? Would you prefer it if Greg James and Joe Swash had been there as well?
I recognise you from that Beyonce post. And she had what looked like a fur coat on her lap. It was fake fur, but I thought it was real fur, which I'm not like a massive fan of. And so I said to her, "Where are you from?" She's like, "I'm from Manchester, but it was quite posh, a bit like Audrey from Coronation Street." So I was making fun of her. So she was sat with her mum and dad in the front row saying, "You're so posh that when you wax, mink fur comes off of your pudendum." I was like, "Oh, my minky's come off." So it's just the type of crass stuff you do at the top of a stand-up set. So I did that for 10 minutes, made fun of her. I said to my tour manager, "I bet I never see that girl ever again." And I was just in the process of splitting up with my current girlfriend at the time, so it wouldn't have been appropriate. But I tweeted just one word, Minky. You can probably find the original tweet somewhere. And then a week later, one of her friends found that tweet and went, "Does this relate to that? Is this an in-joke about what you were saying on stage just a week ago?" "It was. Who's this girl?" "Oh, there she is." But by then, I was in my single phase, so it took a few months before I even met up with Lindsay, and we had a date, and I told her straight. I was like, "Look, I wasn't the type of guy that was like, yeah, man, I'll give you everything I want. I'm currently in a single phase. I'm here for sexual intercourse and nothing more. If you'd like to sign this consent form, there'd genuinely be no feelings afterwards." Because I couldn't bear the thought of a girl going, "Oh, you've hurt my feelings." So I had to be completely clear. So I told Lindsay that's where I was. I said, "If you want to wait for me, that's fine. If you don't, that's don't." She was like, "Well, absolutely nothing's going to happen tonight. Do you know what I mean? I'm not that type of girl, so you can get yourself back to London." And those words really rung through my head when she left in a wheelchair the next morning. No, we waited, and then eventually in August, we'd seen each other a couple of times, and me going, "Remember what you were? You're just winning my bitches, but I'm kind of falling in love." And then I just gave up in August, and I was like, "I'm in love with you." And then now we're married, and we've got a baby. It's mental, isn't it?
It's
Nice. So I did 8 months of single. I had to know what it was like, just in case.
Brilliant, isn't it? It's brilliant being single. Now you look back, fuck. Why didn't I do another 15, 20 years? And that's my only regret about meeting my wife. When I was 40. It'd only been like 20 or 30 years down the line.
I found it a bit.
Then I'd have been bored of it. It would have been awful then.
It got to the point because I've got those urges to like fall in love and be with someone anyway. It got to the point where, like I'd done 10 gigs on the trot, done a bit of telly, knackered, sat down, perfect at night to have, a night in on your own, maybe watch like a nerdy bit of stuff, I get a mate round, and then you think, oh my God, sort of compulsively desiring female company. I thought, I'm not that type of Russell. So I thought, enough is enough, let's start dating and see what happens.
Yeah.
That was it. Now I'm trapped. I'm very happy.
And are you enjoying being a dad? I mean, your daughter's a little bit younger than mine, so she's
9 months.
9 months.
Yeah, the 8th trimester. No. And that's really good. So we got her on a schedule and everything, which means everyone around us thinks we're abusive parents because our child. If your child sleeps through the night, people think you must be doing something wrong. You should be up every 2 hours, have the baby in your bed, be in the spare room, and be at marriage counselling. But our baby sleeps through. It's mental, but it's true.
What time do you get to sleep until?
So when Lindsay was pregnant, everyone was like, "Be prepared to get up at 5 a.m. So I thought, right, I researched the arse out of everything till there's no joy in it. Even holidays, I go on TripAdvisor till there's no fun left in the experience. So if there's any fun left in it, you haven't researched it properly. I don't believe a baby magically knows when sunrise is. What a baby detects is light. If your baby's waking at 6 a.m, your blackout is shit. So I built a pelmet. I know it rhymes with helmet, but it's a valid I built a pelmet, like, that when the hotel has the bit that hangs down that the curtains draw through. I got that built on with wood. My mum's partner's a carpenter. Heavy blackout backed curtains and blackout stick-on lining on the curtains. So you can't walk through that room at midday. So I said to Lindsay, pick a time you want her to wake up at. So we put something that's respectable, not too late. So we do 8:30 to 8:30. We decided that before she was born. She still does it. Like, it is doable. You just am I being boring about it?
No. Well, I don't care. I'm interested to hear how.
Has anyone got kids? All babies are born back to front chronologically, because when a woman's pregnant, she's walking around all day, so the baby's being rocked. And the second she sits down to read a book or watch TV, the baby starts kicking. So all babies are born awake at night, screaming all night, asleep all day. So all you've got to do is just nudge little stay awake, you little bastard, during the day, and go to sleep now, you little shit, just for a few weeks, and then just help them to learn that you'll sleep at night on my schedule. You have to with our job. I don't know about you, but I can't. I could maybe TV or radio or something. I could blag it with 4 or 5 hours sleep, but full stand-up touring show.
It's very difficult. But the good thing is you're away. But I find it hard to sleep. I find it hard to
The best bit about fatherhood is not being.
I find it hard to sleep in hotels. But yeah, and I'm like, we get up. She usually gets about 6 hours, but that's.
I can do a tour show off 6 hours sleep, but not 2 nights of 6 hours sleep.
Yeah, I've kind of got used to it now. But because I'm a bit older as well, I was just before the baby was born, I was waking up at 6 anyway. I often wake up before her, to be honest.
Just starting to wear a full suit.
It is. I need to.
I wonder what age the shaky whistle starts. Old men always have a shaky whistle.
It's all falling apart.
First day you do and then a piss lean where you lean and piss.
Definitely. Or you just sit down to have a wee. That's when you really know.
It's a fly landing on my observations.
I know the fly is coming. There's
one there dying in front of us. The fly.
Sure, I've got that.
But you know the flies when they get to October, the ones that don't fly off as you go to swat them, because they're like, I'm dead in 2 days, mate. What are you going to do? Like, the fat ones signing on Polish probably. They're gone now because of Brexit. And that was one of those ones, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bit of those fat ones.
Yeah, it was. I thought I definitely got it, and it got away. I thought of a new emergency question on the way here. See if I can do it. I have given up on Domino's pizza. I've had enough. It's always fucking horrible. But every time I order it, I think it's going to be nice, and it's always horrible. Yeah. Is there anything that you've given up on in a similar way? You finally realised after doing it for a long time, you get no pleasure from doing it.
I don't want to do myself out of any work here, but the funniest answer was the name of a show, probably. And what, food-wise or anything?
Anything can be anything, but it can be food. It's just that I suddenly realised, I went past the Domino's on Shepherd's Bush, and it was closed down and they were gutting it, and I thought, good. But I'm sure they're bringing it back better and stronger.
Long bath. Every time, because Lindsay's so good at floating in the bath for 2 hours and staring at the wall to the point where I'm outside going, what are you doing in there? And every time I think, I should, that'd be good for me, I'm stressed, I'm a hyperactive person, maybe I should float in there. Every time after 2 minutes, I'm hot, it's boring, it's a shit. So now I've stopped trying. If I could have a shower with an entrance and an exit either side, I would literally foam and run through.
I'm sure that can be done, I'm sure
is that sexist to say that men are more rubbish at having long baths than women?
I like having long baths, so it's all right. So
girl.
The sex
Which is girl.
And I like having lush bubble baths in there. I like the pink ones, and then everything's pink.
I like all the idea of it, and then you settle down with your book, and then you start to and then half an hour later, even after I've got out, I'm still sweating up. I'm still sweating up half an hour. I just overheat.
I play Adam's Family Pinball on my. It's the best thing in the world. It's generally, I believe, the greatest work of art from human history, the greatest creation of human history. It's a pinball machine, but you can play it on an iPad now. Right. And so that just freaks me out, because when I used to play I used to go to the pub and play pinball all the time in the 1990s. When I was alone and had nothing to do. I just imagine if I'd been able to go to myself and say, one day you'll be able to play that in the bath. Yeah. I'd have gone, what? Can't remember, how big will the bath be? And how am I going to get a pinball machine? I'll have to stand up in the bath. You're insane, future Richard Herring. And on a tree, you'll be able to play it on a train. It'll tilt if you put it on the train. You're an idiot. You don't know anything. But it's a brilliant game, honestly. Adam's Family Pinball. I can't get enough of it. I've got over 1.5 billion twice now.
No way.
I'm very pleased with myself.
Check that out.
So you've got a celebrity mastermind and a pointless trophy, but I'd like to see you get 1.5 billion points on a pretend version of a pinball machine.
Stand by for a screen grab.
You download it. Who would you rather died? This comes out of a recent podcast.
Can't we just do normal press rather than trying to generate controversy?
No. Who would you rather die, Windsor Davies or Matthew Crosby's wife?
Who's Windsor Davies?
Who's Windsor Davies? No, not who's Matthew Crosby's wife.
Who's Matthew Crosby? And
Windsor Davies was in It Ain't Half Hot Mum and Never the Twain Shall Meet.
Is it the one with the moustache?
You really are young as you claim.
Is that the one with the moustache, with Donald Sinden?
Yeah, he was the other one with Donald Cinder, and he was the Sergeant Major.
Is he not dead?
No, he's still alive, I think. I still haven't checked.
Okay. I know who you mean
100%
now. Sergeant Major Moustache guy.
Yeah, or Matthew Crosby. You know Matthew Crosby, the comedian Matthew Crosby from
Yeah.
Pappies? I can't remember even
Who's
how
his
it came
wife?
up. I don't know, it's just... No, I don't know, she's a producer, she's a very lovely lady. Who would you... For some reason, it came up as an emergency question.
I can't wish Matthew Crosby's wife dead.
So you're wishing Windsor Davis
Yeah,
dead.
yeah.
I respected. He might be dead already.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably by the time this comes out, he will be. It's 2016.
Imagine if he
after all.
died today and there's
would do.
correlation was drawn.
Well, it almost. I mean, these go out so long in the future now that he probably will have died by the time this goes out.
There we go then.
Or just something terrible will have happened. I'm trying to make. Who do you think will be the next celebrity, unexpected celebrity death? Because it's quite clever about 2016 is you're prepared for it. You think, well, right, nothing's going to surprise me now.
Yeah.
Caroline Aherne, oh fucking hell.
Yeah.
So it surprises you because even though you're not expecting that person to go. So I had a dream. I had a dream that Sarah Millican died, and I was really upset about that.
This is such a bleak conversation.
Yeah.
Can't people think
So
dream
if that
about horrible
comes true-
people dying or something?
Yeah. Well, it's because this year's taken.
Peter Sutcliffe has a fall in Broadmoor. Goes quickly. Yeah, well, Yorkshire Ripper.
The Yorkshire Ripper will die this year. You've heard it here first. I don't think that's really in keeping with the spirit of 2016 taking beloved people.
Oh, you didn't say it had to be someone beloved.
It doesn't have to be, but that's what 2016's been like, hasn't it? I think if the Yorkshire Ripper died, that would be a bit of light relief.
All right.
It'd be like, hooray!
Let's go.
One we can have some fun with.
The Yorkshire Ripper dies, but the headlines are so big that Biggins slips away as well and isn't reported. Have I pulled it back?
Okay.
God, he made me play the game. I don't want him to have a true.
If you were Prime Minister, would you use Trident nuclear weapons as a topical one for this week?
Would I use them, or would I continue to develop them?
Would you
as
have?
terror?
Would you pay?
Would I use them? Hey, I'm in charge. Boom. Just wanted to see what you do. The way I see it is, you fucking bought it, you use it, right? Otherwise, it's a waste. It's a fucking waste.
It's a good point. Would you cancel Trident, or would you?
Yes.
It's a lot of money, isn't it, for something?
Yeah. People are like, that's what enables us to sit at the top table. You don't have a nuclear deterrent. You can't sit at the top table of the world. Have you seen the kind of psychopaths sat at the top table of the world, all hitting each other with hammers? And the next table down, like Sweden and Norway, are having dinner together. Would you pass the sword, please? I love the second table down. No. Let's sit on that table without nuclear weapons. But
well, one of the benefits of Brexit is we are no longer at the top table.
No,
thanks to everyone voting for us to leave. So.
Mutually assured destruction. I don't get it.
No. Well, I mean, it sort of makes sense, but actually the threat now, I think, comes from people that you can't nuclear bomb back, doesn't it? So even if they come and get you, there's no way of getting people back because it's certain people and they're all over the world. So nuclear weapons are sort of redundant.
Even if they did, if someone, like, say I was in charge, I got rid of Trident nuclear weapons, and then and Kim Jong, he's got so many weapons, he has an orgasm every time he says his name, Kim Jong. And he was like, "Oh, you gullible prigs," and then sent a missile to the Britain. As I died in the nuclear dust, I'd think, at least we died unviolent bastards with our integrity intact. Because we'd be dead anyway in the event of a nuclear holocaust. So why not be one of the people that goes out, not being one of the violent bastards? Fuck it. Well, all you've got to lose is knowing that you fired a missile back before you were destroyed anyway.
Yeah.
I'd rather die thinking, died in peace, bro.
The thing with Trident is it's obviously on submarines, so no one knows where it is and no one knows it's there.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually need to be there. You just have to say,
Yeah.
You just have to say it is there.
Yeah.
And we'll take the money. Or I think you could have a Schrodinger's Trident.
Yeah.
Where only the Prime Minister knows whether they did it or not.
Yeah.
So everyone on the submarine thinks that it could well be nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Everyone else it could be, and then only the Prime Minister. You'd only be able to tell because the NHS was still running. That would be the only clue.
Yeah. That's gonna go now, definitely.
Yeah. Everything's fucked. I mean, it's so fucked. It's unbelievable. You were on Question Time talking about this, so let's talk about you being on Question Time.
But we've both been asked to be on Question Time a few times, and both quite sensibly said no. I'm not a political person at all, really. I just pick stuff out of the paper to do stand-up about. That's as far as my engagement goes. I know it's terrible, but at least I'm being honest. And so they keep going, "Come on, man, you'd be great. You're the voice of youth." And I'm like, "Where's my Snatchin and Workers?" And I had every time. Well, one time before, I said, "Let me think about it. I'll let you know tomorrow." And I had a nightmare which recurred, where I got asked a question about Turkmenistan, and I didn't know where it was. So, do you think Turkmenistan? Where the fuck's Turkmenistan? You know, and I would wake up like covered in sweat, and then look up where Turkmenistan was, but still have the same dream the next night, or that, you know. You just impulsively do something immature, which is basically our personality is. Yeah. What if halfway through question time I just went to David Dimbleby, smell my fart, Grandad, and ran off, and just ended my career. I can't be trusted not to do something like that. So I just kept saying no. In the end, because I'm trying to do this grown-up thing, I'm trying to be older now, ironically, and like, comb my hair and wear sensible clothes and all that shit, because BBC Three closed and I've got a mortgage. And I spoke to my agent, he's like, it'd be a good thing to do, people can see that you're not, you know, this thicko that wears eyeliner and all that, and prances around on BBC Three and with spiky hair. And I thought, right, okay, it's worth doing. I was so nervous, man. I was smoking Imodium on the train on the way up. But in the end, so just at the station, I'm really rubbish. I've got no sense of direction. I always get lost everywhere. I couldn't find. There's a taxi was supposed to meet us at Preston Station. Couldn't find it. And Douglas Carswell, the UKIP dude, who was like, "I'll take care of you," and found the taxi, helped me load my bag in. Of course, now I'm like, "Oh no, I've got a moral obligation to Douglas Carswell, and I'm not going to be able to be. I can't be horrible to someone that's helped me with something." So I was like, I didn't say anything bad about UKIP for the whole show because Douglas Carswell helped me with my bag. True.
That's why we voted to leave, because UKIP were just going around helping everyone with their bags.
That's how they did it.
And then, got to vote for
I really
them.
love Polish people. Maybe you've forgotten that rucksack I lifted for you. Oh my God, Brexit. But yeah, it was terrifying. But as soon as I sat down, this is why I think. Don't you think Richard would be brilliant on it, and he should do it? As soon as I sat down.
No.
Come on, guys. For our amusement. It's win-win, because if he's good, it'll be entertaining, but if he thinks we'll be... But as soon as you sit down and you realise the audience are just normal people like all of us, and it's quite refreshing to hear someone that isn't up to their eyes in research and briefings talk about stuff in an honest way, though everyone's on your side. You've got to really go some to turn the audience against you.
I could do that.
Yeah.
But I think also you felt like, you know, a voice of the people there. You were talking about, you know, your family voting to leave.
I was just totally honest.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I've ever done where I've had hatred and trolling before. Like when you do stuff on TV, it's humour at the end of the day. 1 in 10 people find you funny if you're lucky. It's the same in everyday life for anyone. And but I've never ever had tonight's lineup will be, and I was there, and I didn't get off Twitter quick enough, or some of the poison got in. Fucking hell, there'll be 5 comedians on, except that cunt's not funny. It was unbelievable. Why isn't it Grimshaw on it and all this stuff? It was horrific. Like people really hated me, and I hadn't even been on it, so I fucking deactivated my Twitter for the day, and that didn't help. But when I got on it, everyone was like, "You're going to kneel down and fillet Jeremy Corbyn, #Ramina." So I thought, I've got to go on and surprise people. So I thought, well, annoyingly, that is what I'm like, because I'm a lefty, rugs covered in hummus comedian, just like the rest of us. And Free Palestine. But I thought what I can do is represent where I'm from, because everyone I'm related to and every friend I go out with, because I just go out with people I grew up with rather than showbiz people. Like back in Polish people taking our jobs, they're the ones driving the wage. So I thought, I'll represent that whilst disagreeing with it. So best of both worlds.
But that's, you know, that I think that's something I wouldn't have, you know.
Yeah.
I think that I would just come across. I just couldn't. It's bad enough on Twitter, to, you know, questioning whether at the moment this is a topical thing. Jeremy Corbyn is a good Labour leader or not, you know. And I'm not. I don't mind him. I'm not sure he's the right leader.
I went for it. I did go for him a bit because someone like me is your typical, at last, someone who's going to change things, Jeremy Corbyn lover, and I've got a lot of time for what he represents, but I don't have much time for how he's activated what he represents. It's got worse and worse and worse till I think my argument on Question Time, if you didn't see it, was where are the voices on the left owning the Brexit argument? Okay, I'm a Remainer, but I would have liked some people to go, I'm anti-Europe because of this and this, and I do think there's a problem with immigration, but I'm left-wing, but this is how we deal with it. There was no one, none of those voices. So the right completely hijacked that debate, and that's where you see UKIP going into that vacuum. So that's why I was annoyed with him, because I suspect that Jeremy Corbyn thinks Europe's a load of shit, and it's a con, it's undemocratic, and it's full of elites. He should have just fucking gunned for that and argued against Cameron, and everyone would have had a lot more respect for him. But he didn't. He sort of did a limp pseudo-Remain campaign, and it just fell between two stools.
Well, yeah, it's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shame.
But at least we've got an Australian-style points-based system.
Which is no one's going to be happy. It's probably not going to happen.
No.
Typical
British
venture. And then it'll be much worse. We're fucked. So anyway, yeah, but he's not. He's for all the people who get upset. Yeah, he's nice.
Yeah, what he represents is good, but how he.
But it is. But he's the leader of the Labour Party, so he needs to represent everyone in the Labour Party. So and you can't. I don't think as a leader of a democratic party, you can just go, this is what I think and this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
It's talked of like the MPs are staging a coup, but I think, the way he got into power was using the fucking stupid middle class idiot goodwill of going, oh yes, Jeremy, we'll let you have a go, and well done to him for doing that. Yeah. But it was as much, and then getting loads of people to pay £3 to vote. It's as much a coup, and they're trying to take over and make an extremely left-wing party, which is fine. But then that doesn't represent the people who voted for them.
I would have stood down. Fair play to him. He's like, Jeremy, everyone hates you. And he's like, get my microphone. I get one heckler, I'm like, the gig's over. I need to run off stage and cry.
But I also wouldn't mind if it was any other time. I wouldn't, it was Michael Foot was a great leader, never going to get elected, and he's a fantastic guy.
He's played by Windsor Davies.
He was, but it was the timing of it. It was fine because the Labour were never going to get in for a few years anyway. But we need like a strong opposition to the Tories, and this to fill this power vacuum that Adolf Hitler would love. If Adolf Hitler were here, he'd be going, oh, yeah, lovely Great Britain now. It's just right for me to go in. Yeah. But Donald Trump's going to win, and then it's all irrelevant anyway, isn't it?
Well, that's why that's what I was trying to say to my friends and stuff like that, is like maybe focus on what if Donald Trump becomes president. No, I want to know whether the border's in Brussels or in Dover or Calais. It's like that. None of that is going to mean shit if Donald Trump vaporises the whole fucking world. And there'll still be people from Essex sinking into the nuclear dust going, at least we're not part of Europe. That's progress.
Oh, I wanted to quickly talk to you about this because I've had a similar experience. But you had, and I'm similarly obsessed with this. But when you had a parcel delivered that you waited outside. I've had this. Yodel kept on saying they delivered my part.
Red-handed. Yeah.
And you caught your guys. Who was it? Was
DPD.
Right. Okay.
Which isn't a porn term. It's a delivery service. And. Does anyone get DPD where you track if you can see him? John is 15 minutes away. He's into the next. It's quite exciting if it's something you really want. If you primed it off Amazon, pay your taxes, and of another service that pays the tax, and he was getting closer and closer. So I waited with the front door open, sort of waiting to it. And I could see it next to, and then it just blinked. Sorry, we missed you. He just went straight to sorry, we missed you. I caught him red-handed. So I was tweeting and going nuts, and then the Daily Mirror picked it up as it was happening and was like, comedian hides. They changed it to hides in garden. They had it, I was in the bush waiting for it to anyone in? I'm here. And so the story ran within an hour. Then DPD phoned me, and then the driver turned up 2 hours later. The same driver that was already in the national. I was so embarrassed.
Was he pleased to see you?
It appears to have been a breakage. And now I have to see if it's still the same driver and every time. Oh God.
Because that's weird that he got so close and then didn't bother. I mean,
he obviously. I think what happens sometimes is they're just driving nearby and scanning them off so they can get round their round. What possible motivation could you have for not delivering?
I suppose if you're being tracked, then you have to. Because I think with Yodel, they pay them. I mean, it's not the driver's fault because they pay the drivers like 79p a delivery or something. They don't even pay for their petrol. Right. I've talked to quite a few people about it because I waited in all day for this thing to be. They were collecting something, and then it happened twice. And both times they said, no, he came in, and then they said, and he left a card. And I said, no, he didn't.
Card.
He didn't.
That's the giveaway.
And they gave me the time, and they, I knew that I was in the basement looking upwards, and would have been able to hear him walking up the path.
That's weird, isn't it?
I was ready, but I didn't know what shackles here. But I didn't know what time it was coming. So I made a big thing. I did the same thing on Twitter. Made a big joke out of it. And then wrote articles about it in the Metro and stuff to get back at people. But then I felt quite bad because I think in a way those guys are being. If you were doing that and you're getting 79p and you were 10 miles away, you go. Oh, fuck it, no. He probably won't be in anyway.
Have you caught them doing a knock and run? I mean, the bell has barely... when afterwards the doorbell's still doing its after reverb, and they're already down the path on the after reverb. It could become like an Olympic sport, couldn't it, like that? I think under half a second. And
but it's kind of it's crazy, like people, the companies that use them, they're not delivering the stuff, so it's just massively inconvenient for everyone. They're undercutting everyone by making it really cheap. Yeah. And so it's the people who run these things.
Parcels there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. No, I'm furious about it. Yeah. Did you ever, when you were in Enfield, did you ever go to 40 Hill House?
Yes.
Yeah, how was it?
It's good, yeah.
What's there?
Yeah, and 40 Hall and all the grounds around there. So we used to go for walks, and if we went out with the school and a field trip, you had to throw your quadrant down in biology. Do you remember? You had to throw it down and work out if, clover was super abundant or not. I love that lesson.
Good.
Did you not use quadrants?
I know.
Do you know?
No, we didn't have them in my day.
It was in biology. You had to randomly throw your quadrant out, and then you had to sort of write down grass, super abundant in this sample. Daisies, abundant, rare, frequent. I still remember it all. Yeah.
Good to see
I was such a swot at school. Still remembering biology from when I was 14. Let it go, Russ.
Your MySpace page is still operational.
Someone told me that.
Yeah, okay. So I'll let you know. You're the second comedian. I can't remember who the other one was. It was Tony Law's one. Is also. You can also see Tony Law from 15 years or 10 years ago. He's changed a lot as well. You joked in an interview you did that Anne Widdecombe was your perfect woman. Was that a joke, or is that because she's on my list of celebrities I'm allowed to have sex with?
I don't remember saying that. Someone else asked me about this the other day. I don't know why I've said that.
Well, you're probably being glib.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
But, I will have sex with Anne Widdecombe if she consents.
Yeah.
That's the only stipulation. I'm not going to hunt her down like Stuart Lee, Hall. I always get those two confused.
Have you ever met her or worked with her or anything?
No, Marcus Brigstock has, though. He says she's
genuinely exactly the same in real life.
Sexy, right?
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Have you got a celebrity shag list of 5 celebrities you're allowed to have sex with and your wife won't divorce?
No.
Okay.
Fuck all on that list, you wanker. I'm wearing a northern wedding ring, so it's like a normal wedding ring, except it's got stones in so it can repel a woman from an extra 100 metres. I want you to be single or not. My corneas have been burnt out. Fuck off, yes.
What's your favourite... Do you like museums? What's your favourite museum? Because we talked about 40... Is there a museum? When you're touring, do you go and look at stuff?
I genuinely went to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam and enjoyed that. It was just something to do.
It is.
While you were there.
Have you been to the Anne Frank house in?
Yes, I went there as well. That was also awesome.
Crowded up there. It's very crowded. They must have been very uncomfortable up there.
The Sex Museum in Amsterdam actually really is.
Yeah, I haven't been to that.
Laugh. It's good. Not
mainly Amsterdam-based museums.
I've got very short attention span with walking around looking at stuff.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I can sit down and read a novel for hours and hours and hours, but I'm not a big museum-y type person, and galleries and stuff. I'm like, ugh. I can take the painting and that's it. I'm done in a second. Botticelli done. Next one, and then you sort of have to sit there thinking of something else profound 5 minutes later, and I get bored. Mm-hmm. I like sciencey stuff, so it would probably have to be Natural History Museum. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's good though. They've got a nice little place down underneath where they can take the kids.
Yeah.
It's nice, just because we're dads now. Yes. If you go to it's a science museum actually. Science museum which is next door to it.
That's cracking, the science museum. It's got the fart machine in it.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Yeah.
It's very good. If any of you got kids, you wouldn't be out, would you? So I don't know why I'm asking. Yeah. It's only because we work at night we have to. All right, I'll ask a couple more emergency questions and hopefully I'll do better than the museum atmosphere we've created. I've been copying other people's emergency questions. This is a popular one from MarshallJonesJr.com. But, for you, I think this might be an interesting question. Have you ever tried sushi?
I've ever tried it?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's all I want to know.
I thought it was some Russian spy satire or something going to follow on the back of that. When? Earlier.
If you could, this is from lifehacks.io, if you could jump into a pool of something, what would it be? It can be anything in the pool, it doesn't have to be water.
People.
A pool of people.
Yeah. With no clothes on. Yeah, pool of people.
That'd be
fun.
nice. You'd probably hurt.
Banging techno on the outside.
You'd hurt a few of them though, right? I was about to how far if you're just stage diving.
Yeah. No, pool like...
Not from
water,
a high board
everyone...
into the people, then a few of them are kind of badly hurt. You'd be killed.
Yeah.
Instantly.
I would never get to enjoy the experience.
No. This is a very important question. This might be the one we end on, but we'll see. From Ali's randomage, you know how good Ali is at coming up with random questions.
Randomage?
Yeah, randomage.
Oh, I hate unnecessary noun.
Have you ever flown a kite?
Have I ever flown a kite?
Yeah.
Yeah, loads of time.
How was it?
It was good.
Any kite-based stories came out of flying the
I'm a specialist of these questions.
This is the last question. We've got to make it good.
How many people in this room have got a kite story?
I've come up with 3 already from us. It's been a very productive, surprisingly productive question.
Kites.
I bet you'll think of something. It'll be afterwards in the dressing room.
Yeah.
But I'll come back and tell them in the next podcast next week. I'll come back next week and tell them.
I mean,
can you wait around till next week? You lot?
The thing is, like, when I was a kid, I was into more sort of stay in, use your imagination type games, and my dad was very physical, sporty. So we didn't have many of those shared freaking experiences, because I would rather have stayed in my room and written a story about a magical kite rather than gone out and played with a kite. So that's one of the things of my life where me and my old man was like it finished with him building a gym at the bottom of our garden. We had a former council house, and he built a lean-to coming off of his shed, which was a gym where we were supposed to go and like build ourselves up. There's protein shakes in the house, me and my brother. And of course I now had a space at the bottom of the garden where no one could hear me, mirror, light, so I was just learning show tunes and stuff like that. Will we ever reach ours, Dorothy, will we? And so yeah, but I mean, kite's quite camp, isn't it? So I'm surprised I didn't do it more often.
But you see, the kite question sometimes doesn't have to be about a kite. No. Sometimes we learn more about you from what comes from the kite question. That's why Ali is a genius of coming up with randomage.
Liberated a childhood memory.
Because you think, oh, that's a stupid question, and then bang, out we get this thing we would never have heard of otherwise if it weren't for the kites. I mean, it's not a closer, but it still was. It was still better than it looked. Okay, have you ever? I bet you have. Have you ever seen a ghost?
I'm total cynical atheist. Don't believe in anything. Don't believe I've ever had an experience like that. But when I say I'm cynical, I've also got a childish desire for shit like that to be true, even though the sciencey, intellectual part of my brain won't allow it to be true. So whenever anyone says this house is definitely haunted, we're doing a camp out, a few friends, I would probably go. I wouldn't go, oh, there's definitely no such thing as ghosts, I want you to go. I would go, and I would want it to be freaking true. And the last one, has anyone ever done one of those ghost experiences where you stay up through the night? And it was in Birmingham, and me and Lindsay went, and we were in this old house that was supposed to be haunted. Yeah. But because all the people and spiritualists were brummy, I just couldn't. Anybody spirit, please? Anybody spirit? I can feel an energy in spirit, please. It just totally ruined the whole experience. They have these things called K2s. Someone else must have been to one of these experiences. You buy them on red letters, though. And you put it on the ground, and when it glows, starts flickering green when there's a presence in them. But all it is a torch that's been half done up, so that the element is now and again connecting with the battery. It's like, are you 5 years old? And then they give you this bit of wire with the string on it, so if it starts going one way, but you can just see people going, oh, it's moving, it's definitely moving. It's because you're moving your bell end, stand still. It never works for me. I can't be hypnotised, I never see ghosts. I've been to see, like the psychic people. Yeah. And Lindsay and I, we argue about it sometimes. But do you believe in stuff like this? I do believe there's a presence and ghosts and stuff like that. Sally can wait, she's a man. And
so I seem to hate her from that impression.
But before we got married, there's a guy from Southend near where I'm from, and he's supposed to be one of the best. When someone tells you this guy's real, he's definitely real. This is a psychic. Who's been to see psychics? They're just for a laugh. No one wants to admit it. This audience.
They're a very rational
All
audience.
we care about is hummus and property. And no, but I went, and he's a wheelchair user, which shouldn't have anything to do with it, but he uses it to sort of build the mystic. Like, I'm more in tune with my psychic powers because I'm physically incapacitated. He was playing that card. I'm sorry, but he was. So we've gone in. He obviously is a bit aware of who I am and knows my age, the real one. And I've gone and sat down, and the guy, I think it works by people giving away little bits of information. So if I say to you, are you a manual labourer? And I can see by your body language you're not, I can then adjust my next guest accordingly. Stand-ups use it a lot when they're speaking to the front row. It's just a highly tuned version. So I sit like that going, yes, no, like I give nothing. But with my mind open, thinking my dad's, my dad, this guy didn't know my dad was dead. I'm thinking my dad's dead, mention it. And I didn't pick up my old man was dead. And then, so we were asking about the wedding, and he went, I want you to know, if I was to say, on your mother's side, a white-haired man looking down at you, would that ring a bell? I was like, my granddad, my mum's dad. So I'm 40 here, so he's thinking I'm onto one here. And he said, I want you to know on your wedding day that your granddad will be looking down on you. And I thought, I hope so, he's coming up from Luton. Going strong. The sweat was like that on his face. My granddad fucking goes on holiday, plays bowls, fucking repping it, full head of hair. Yes, get in, granddad.
That's a pretty weak medium, isn't it? On your mother's side, there's a man with white hair.
But
is that true?
But if he's reading, he looks at...
running around,
But they look at your age, and they sort of they can make a guess whether your grandparents are alive based on how old you are. I mean, I don't know why people fall for this shit. And then Lindsay's like, what harm does it do if people believe it? It gives them comfort. And I actually think it's fucking cruel to give people false voices that aren't there. And B, it stops people grieving properly and moving on and healing and facing shit. So I don't think it's harmless. I'd put all of religion in that pot. Yeah, we argue about that all the time. I do believe everything happens for a reason. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Sometimes a glass just gets knocked over. There's not a grand plan. It's flowing towards Gran Canaria. We better go on holiday there. It's a sign. It's like, it isn't a sign. There's no fucking sign there. Like, and Lindsay's mum's a reflexologist. I better be careful what I say. She's like, I can massage you I can heal you through your feet as long as it's not something that can be measured or seen. Everything. Although I find it very comforting to be around that type of warm, fuzzy, maternal, spiritual energy, I don't believe in it. So everything has a meaning. And butterflies are dead relatives. Anyone else that does this? Butterflies are my dad or her own mum. Oh, my own mother's come to visit me, Agnes. And then it flew away. She was like, goodbye, mother. And I'd seen the same thing on a dog shit 2 minutes before. I didn't say anything. But who's the loser in that situation? Me. I'm the one that doesn't have this amazing spiritual belief in a God. People who believe in God live longer. It's a fucking uncomfortable statistic for people like me, but they do. It's probably to do with the community of getting together on a Sunday. There's probably some neuroprotective benefit.
And they don't have any fun.
Yeah,
that's don't do anything that's fun, so they're not at any risk.
Withered forearms, where they never wank. All the men have got withered forearms. I'm so religious. I'm so religious. My forearm is withered. I can't even get the helmet anymore in a basic grip.
Well, I think that's a good place. Good place to. Ladies and gentlemen, Russell Kane.
Thank you,
Russell. How'd you like them sky potatoes?